Let's color. Let's color. Let's color in another page. We're back to color another page for you guys. If you're new here, I absolutely love coloring in. I made a video last week, a step-by-step on how I color in, and I thought I would do another page for you guys and share some more tips and tricks. Let's do it. And to show the credentials, here's a page. This one off camera. There's another one. And in case you didn't see the last video, this is the page that we did. I thought we would just do another page and I'd share some more tips and tricks. Let's do it. For today's video, I will be using the Coco Wyo Comfy Corner book again. I love this book. It is really, really cute. And for today's video, I was actually tossing between two pages and I ultimately chose this one with the falling leaves. I was instantly inspired by autumn. And that's where I began to research color inspiration, ideas and color palettes. And ultimately I chose this color palette with the warm tones and pink purple sunset. And before we begin any page, we of course put our protective sheet underneath so nothing bleeds through. And again, I will be using the Bobby Goods Oh Hoo Hoo pens with the brush tip. I just really enjoy how these pens glide and they're so easy to blend and the colours are really pretty and match the aesthetic I'm going for. And the way I like to start any page is by knowing where the sun is going to be, so I know where my lights and my shadows are. So if it's in that corner, it'll come on an angle, in the middle it'll come straight down, and the other corner in the opposite direction. And for today I'm going to go with that top right corner, going in with a light yellow just to do the highlights. And having the little sun up there is really helpful for a beginner, just so then you can check that you're going in the right angle and the lighting is hitting where it should. I left out these two spots deliberately because if the sun were actually hitting the staircase, it wouldn't be touching those areas. The first tip I'm going to share with you guys is actually trees. So there's 4 kinds. You have just your normal green tree, autumn tree, cherry blossom tree, and a pine tree. We did the pine tree last time, so this time we're going to do autumn. Starting off with yellow, and I mess up instantly, but again, we're not going to worry because we can always come back and fix it. I'm going with the lightest yellow, a little darker orange, and then blending them out. Blending is really easy. You just go over with the colors you've already used, blend, 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 and just layer. Always best to go from light to dark. And now for the texture. So this is like your leaves. You're gonna just do little dots, messy little dots everywhere. Don't be too perfect with it. The less perfect, the better. Because leaves don't just sit how you want, they're everywhere. And you'll see I put the darker colors on top of the lighter colors. This is called contrast. So with contrast, when you put yellow on top of orange, you can see it a lot better. And then orange on top of brown, you'll see it more. So that's how these leaves sort of work, going from light to dark on top of the light and dark, if that makes sense. And then I'm just doing the same with the leaves, so going with that light color, darker orange, brown, just like an autumn leaf. Now hedges work the exact same way as trees, just from the top to the bottom. So once again, using the same colors, dotting over the light, over the darker, over the darkest. Everyone does trees and hedges differently. This is just how I like doing it. And just like the last video, I like to get a color and know where I'm placing it. So I'm going to place brown on the tree, the mailbox, the donut, the fence, and the other donuts. When you're using too many colors, that's where you start to lose the cohesion. Keeping the color palette shorter just makes it a lot easier and it looks a lot better in my opinion. So I'm using that same brown that I used in the tree for the donut box, the window, and the mailbox. Now we're onto the wood texture. This is a lot easier than what you think. So you're gonna grab 2 colors that are a little darker than the tree. Using a brush tip pen makes this a lot easier, I'm not gonna lie, because you can be really light-handed with it. But you're just gonna start with these long strokes, a little bit wiggly, a little bit curvy. Picture a tree trunk. So they've got all those little weird curves. You're not even gonna think about the shape, you're just gonna do little dashes, little swirls. And going in with that darker color just to emphasize the texture. The same goes for things that are wooden. So with the windows, you're just doing up and down strokes, very light-handed. And it's best to not go too dark too soon, because if you don't like it, you can always blend it out. Now I'm just adding a little bit of shading to the donut box. Now I'm just going over the window. You'll notice that I go over it with the exact same color that I colored the window in, which was that golden brown color. Even though it's the same color, it dried. So when you place it over it again, it looks even darker. And then you can put an even darker brown and it blends it easier. This is just a little trick. And when you're blending really quickly, I just want you to take notice of how I'm holding the pens. I'm changing them very quickly. One in one hand, one in the other, both with the caps off. So it's easy to place the color down and blend it out quick. And now let's do our grass. I went for this really light yellow shade, keeping in with that golden autumn color. If you saw the last video, you know how easy grass is. You sort of just slap a solid color on top, and then we're gonna do little tiny lines over top of it with a little bit darker shade. And we're going back to our sun to double check that we've got our shadows in the right places. You'll notice the lines that are already on the coloring page. That's the sort of shape I'm going for when I'm doing my little flicks. Now it's time for the sunset. I've gone for this really pretty purple sunset. We're gonna always go from lightest to darkest with our sunsets. It makes it easier to blend because there are no harsh lines in a sunset. So let's say you're putting that light purple down, then the dark purple down. You'll use that light purple to blend out that dark purple. So I'm just using those three colors to blend them out. And now it's time for the pink, which I know I want to put on the frog's cheeks, maybe on his handbag. The colors that I've used in the sunset, I want to use sort of everywhere. Now I'm using the yellow just to keep it cohesive with the grass. So I'm going to do it on the bird beak, the flowers. I place these colors deliberately from the sunset, so your eye naturally goes from the top right down to the top left. So you'll see purple in the sky, on the bandana, on the cup, on the handbag. And the same goes for the yellow. Sort of makes the eye naturally move that way. Now I'm just going in with this cool tone brown that has a chiseled edge. It's just from another pack, doesn't really matter. And I'm just doing the fence. The delivery box, and the house across the street. And the stairs. Now I went for a random pop of red because I feel like darker reds look really good in autumn, and I just placed the color up against it to make sure that was too dark. So I only did a little dot. Now I'm going in with that little bit lighter red, and I much prefer it. So I'm gonna do the roof and the door. And I do the mailbox, so it's all cohesive. So top corner, left corner, mailbox. Like a little triangle, if you will. And I do a little froggy shadow, like it's the shape of the frog, behind the frog with that darker red. Now I'm gonna grab a color chart. These come in handy so much. See, I know my frog is green, but I just don't know what shade of green I want and what will match best with the color palette I have. Placing this up against it sort of gives me an idea of what may work best. With all my markers, I have a color swatch sheet I made myself, and I just fill it out just so I know what color I'm using. And for this picture, I chose the two greens that are a little bit more yellowy in shade. And then I'm going in with this warm grey. I love my greys. If you know me, you know I love my greys. For this picture, instead of using cool grey, normal grey, I'm going in with warm, just for that road and the concrete in the stairs. I'm going in with the clear pen, just to add a little bit of texture. I'm just adding little tiny dots. It is such a small detail, but for me, I like it. I feel like it's giving concrete. I decided a golden champagne color for the house. And I decided for bricks. So now I'm going to show you some brick techniques that I like to use. I really like using a chiseled pen for this, just so then you already have that rectangle. I'm going in with the same color I actually did the house. I'm just mapping down where I want the bricks to go. The brick pattern is really simple. It's just rectangle, rectangle, and then rectangle on top. Just using that chiseled side to create shapes for me. Nothing perfect. You'll see I'm not using a ruler. I like to just go with the flow when it comes to bricks. Going in with a slightly darker brown. It's actually the brown we used on the trunk, and I'm just deepening that one side. So the side opposite to where the sun would be. And for the house, because it's closer, I want a little bit more detail. I'm adding tiny little dots because bricks aren't smooth. So I'm just adding tiny little dots. And then once I've done this on all the bricks, I'll go over it again with the same color I made them to blend it out. Bricks are a lot easier than what they seem, I promise. No. Now it's time for my favorite part, shadows. This is where the sun comes in very handy because wherever the light is touching, the opposite side will have a shadow. So you'll see on the staircase, that yellow line is where the sun is. The opposite side of that, it'll be darker. So with the cup, the right side's gonna face the sun, the left side is gonna be in the shade. This is also the exact same purple that was already down, but because it was dry, it looks darker. So I use that same technique for the fence. It's the exact same brown. I'm just mapping out where I want that shading. Now this is where I go in with a dark grey, and it's way too dark at first. It's an easy fix. I go over it again with the same brown I used before, just to blend it out. And now I know to use a lighter grey, which is what this one is here. This is from Temu. I like Temu for the greys. I always double check where that sun is just to make sure the shadows are correct. Now you'll see I place it on the grass and it's a little too harsh, so I'm just going in with that clear pen and blending it out. Shading just elevates the picture so much. It creates so much depth. I love shading. This is why I go through my greys like no tomorrow. Now I decided to make the window yellow, matching the one across the street as well. And now it's time for my favorite step, highlights. So I'm going in with my white acrylic marker. Hope I'm not butchering that name. And I'm just going where that yellow highlight would be. So where we started, the first step, I'm just adding white. Now with the trees, it's the exact same thing. We're just going to do little dots all along the edge where that yellow is. And same goes for the hedge. And the grass, so we're just doing those little dashes all over. Now with the brick, I didn't want it too shiny, so I put a tiny bit of white opposite side to that shading that we did with the darker color, and I just tap, tap, tap. It gives it a little extra texture and dulls out the brightness, because we don't want it too bright. And that's the picture all done. I'm really happy with it. I think it's beautiful, but I think we can elevate it one step further. I like adding borders to my pictures, such as this one, and this one. And why not just add a little one to this one also? And now she's beautiful! I'm so happy with how this picture turned out. I hope this was really helpful for you guys. I love making these videos and I'm glad you guys love it too. Make sure to give this video a like, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.